Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and a man who's had an extraordinary life. Larry Lamb is the star, of course, of Gavin Stacey and Eastenders, and I'm a Celebrity, and he's got a tale to tell about going on holiday. 74% of travellers go abroad these days without taking serious medical advice on what tablets or medication they should be taking depending on which country they're going to. We thought we'd speak to Larry Lamb today, who's had lifelong effects after he contracted malaria whilst on a visit to Senegal. We've got Angela Chalmers in the studio, a pharmacist from Boots UK, who's here to give us all of the advice. Guys, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Thanks, enjoying the weather.
Well, it's gorgeous, but what comes with weather is issues like sunburn and creatures and creepy crawlies and then trips to A&E. We don't need that, do we, Angela?
No, we definitely don't. And I do a midnight shift on a Sunday night, and all I dealt with was infected insect bites. So, we are suffering with all these mozzies.
I guess in this country we've got our own problems, but then we go abroad to places much more tropical, and as Larry found out, this can end up in tears. Larry, tell us your story, because you took malaria tablets, but you didn't take them when you got home, which led to huge problems.
Exactly. I went to Senegal, to an area, Dakar, that's the capital, where in theory there is no malaria. But I decided to take precautions and took the pills. So I took the pills before I went. I took the pills while I was there, and I carried on when I came back, but I didn't carry on long enough. I didn't go the full 8 days. And that's where I got caught out. The the bug was in there, and it got me once I stopped taking the pills. And I got terrible fevers. It went on for 2 months, this whole thing. I mean, the most wretched thing to ever get. And I finished up in hospital a couple of times, being rehydrated in the middle of the night because I'd been in these deep fevers, and one night the fever actually affected my hearing. I lost 80% of the hearing in my right ear. So I've kind of got this souvenir from my time with malaria, and it's not a lot of fun.
Angela, help me with the tablets themselves, because I went to East Africa to do a breakfast show in Nairobi about 10 years ago, and I took them, and if they go wrong, they can be a nuisance, but they are necessary. We should still take them despite the risk, because there are risks with them.
So a lot of people are worried about side effects from anti-malarial medicines. In fact, any medicine could cause side effects. And it's really important that you do get the advice, because there are a few different types of anti-malaria tablets. But we also need to take into account your medical history and also any other medicines that you might be on. And that helps us choose the right anti-malarial for you. But when you weigh up the pros and cons, the risk of actually catching malaria, something that can kill you, compared to the risks of possibly having a side effect, we always find that the benefits always outweigh the risks. And 10 years ago, we've got newer anti-malarial tablets now, and as a whole, most people get on absolutely fine with them. But we don't want people being scared of seeking advice or thinking, oh, that one makes you go a little bit crazy, because then they're putting their own health at risk. So I think come in and speak to the pharmacist. We'll give you advice on what you can take regarding malaria tablets, but also your travel vaccinations, and also advise you on insect repellent, because you still need to practice bite avoidance, avoiding getting bitten. So it's a whole package, and your pharmacist can help you with that.
I guess the key to this is ignorance is not bliss. You cannot go there believing that you're going to be okay if you're in one of these countries where there are mosquitoes.
Absolutely not. I'll tell you a story. I worked with a pharmacist. She was originally from Nigeria, and she was going back home to visit her family. Now, you can get natural immunity, but that's if you live in the area and you never leave the area. Well, she did leave that area to come to the UK. So she went back thinking she still had that protection. So she took no anti-malarial tablets, came back to London, and nearly died because of malaria. And that was a pharmacist thinking she had her own natural protection. So, we can be a bit blasé about it. But, I mean, it's great, Larry sharing his story, because we want people to be healthy and happy on holiday, not becoming unwell with it.
And we should say it's a very small percentage of people who do get ill. I think there was 1,400 travellers in 2015. But if you end up like Larry, you can end up in big trouble. Larry, just tell us about some of those complications. It even affected your hearing, didn't it?
Yeah, I lost 80% of the hearing in my right ear. And that's it. That's it for life. It's not going to come back. It's destroyed the nerve endings that transmit the sound into your brain. So it's a permanent thing. But as was pointed out to me by the specialist, children go deaf from fevers that they get while they've got things as seemingly simple as measles. So, and malaria is a killer.
Yeah. People can find out more by going to the Boots website. Have you got a direct link, Angela, where people can find out more?
Yeah. So if people want to get more advice, a good place to start is boots.com/travel health, or just pop in and see your local pharmacist.
Angela Chalmers is the pharmacist at Boots UK. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Interesting times, Larry. I mean, you have had a blessed career. I look at your CV and it's almost a dream in a way. It looks from my perspective like you've always worked. You're one of those jobbing actors that's happy to do good stuff, aren't you?
Whatever else, whoever you are as an actor, the main thing you've got to have is luck. The sort of an element of talent is necessary, obviously, but the standard in Britain is so high that there are very, very few actors that aren't highly skilled. So you've got to be lucky, and that's often a case of just making the right decision on jobs very early on in your career, and being in the right place at the right time. That old cliche, but it really is. And sometimes for some reason or other you can't do a little job, but what you didn't realise is that the director of that little job was about to have a big breakthrough in his career, and people a lot of the time tend to use people that they like again. So I've been very lucky because, as you say, if you look at it, there have been very few periods in my life where I've not worked.
Can I give you a compliment that you might take as an insult, but I mean it as a compliment? When I watch you work, you look like you're not working, which is, I think, what makes you believable as an actor. Do you know what I'm saying? You're very real. Some actors look shticky. You seem to embody whichever character you're playing, and you look like the part. How easy is that, and how long did it take you to be that relaxed to be able to do it?
Thank you for the compliment. I take it as a compliment. I think the thing is that what I've realised I tell you, very early on in my career, I got in a TV series in London called Fox. It was all about a London family, a big extended family with five brothers, and I was playing a taxi driver. And so I used to get a taxi, and as part of my job, I would start to talk to taxi drivers, and it became pretty obvious to me that there was no way that you could typically be a taxi driver. And so you just realised that it was you being a taxi driver, because there were taxi drivers just like you. And so I kind of realised that, I might be a surgeon in something, I might be a military person in something, but there will be somebody somewhere that's just like me that does that job. So don't try and be what you think you would be. Just be you being that. That's
right.
Really all I do. I'm not unique. There's plenty of people like me around, so I could just be. I could be somebody in the military. I could be a doctor. I could be a priest. I could be, one of these things.
Would you like to be a priest in real life? It'd save all that travelling, wouldn't it?
I did once think about, like maybe doing something that could help a lot of people. I like talking to people, and it's a job which involves communication.
Yeah.
I don't think I quite buy into organised religion. I find that, as far as I'm concerned, you've kind of got to build your own set of beliefs up. When I consider how much agony goes on in the world in the name of religions, I find it all it's all something that's it's a bit beyond me, frankly. Everybody's supposed to be professing love and positive thoughts, and people are killing each other.
I was going to talk to you at the end about London, because you've become Mr. London in a way through the One Show and through LBC. You love London. You are a Londoner. There's never been a more tricky time to be in London right now. All these platitudes about London's open for business, I think around the world the perception is it's a dangerous place. How do you feel being there, living there and working there?
I guess you could say that London at certain times has been probably as dangerous. You know, there were times in the past when there were areas of London that really were very dangerous to go around in. You just have to deal with the fact that, you know, there are a lot of sad, crazy, misguided people doing things that they feel are right, and it happens to be going on in this city, and you just have to hope against hope that that it gets reduced by the people who are, you know, putting themselves in the front line to go after these individuals. I feel very confident in the way that the services that are there to protect us do their job. And the way I see it is that every time, you know, one of these people pops his head up, that's, you know, it's going to go all the way down the line, and that's going to be another whole big reduction in the number of potential crazy attacks.
That's providing, of course, they're not recruiting as many or more from the other end.
I don't think so. I tend to feel, maybe I'm a bit blasé, but I just have a feeling that the potential numbers for people that are prepared to do that sort of thing is not nearly as high as we're given to believe.
Has it changed anything about your behaviour as a Londoner, where you go or what you do, or are you standing strong and carrying on as you were?
Well, basically, all you can do is carry on and be, you know, maybe just be a bit more wary. If you think, if you see something that looks a little bit odd, then obviously you've got to respond, and you've got to respond quickly, and you've got to make sure your kids know to be you know on the lookout.
Moving on from that, you talk about kids, and you and George is such a great relationship that we've seen blossom on TV. You must be very proud. I think we're proud of you both. There's nothing more lovely than seeing a father and a son that seem to get on and seem to enjoy each other's company. It's been great what's happened both in TV and privately with the both of you, isn't it?
Yeah, we really have had a great time. You know, we just finished the thing for Channel 5 where we've been cycling around some beautiful parts of Britain, and people really get a buzz out of talking to a father and son, particularly if they sort of know them, you know, off the telly. And we just met some extraordinary people, and that sort of that fascinating dynamic that goes on between, you know, family members, it really translates well into conversations with people, you know, just like you have. They have brothers and sisters and uncles and aunts. It's you know, everybody recognises it. I've been really lucky.
So few people get to have a career where you're on radio, TV and an actor. You seem to be able to do all those things equally as well. You must be thrilled that I guess you've created a product that people want in different areas, because so often in the business you get sort of shoehorned into one section and then you can't get out. It's a blessed career that you've formed now.
Yep, it certainly is. And I mean, it's like necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, I can remember people years ago saying, oh, be careful about all those awards in television because it can be the kiss of death. Well, you know, I did Gavin and Stacey and Eastenders, and they were they were two BBC shows. They were the top comedy and the top drama show in the years that I was doing them, and it took about 5 years to get another proper job on TV.
Right.
And so in the meantime, you know, I wrote a book about my life and started to branch out. I did stuff for the one show. I started to do all different sorts of things, and I found that, frankly, you know, it was translating that connection with people that you got through doing television, like EastEnders and Gavin Stacey. It was a real joy, because suddenly there you are, you're meeting the people that pay your wages, you're meeting the people that like what you do. You know, I've often spoken to people about, you know, when you're in the theatre, you can be in the West End, you can be in a hugely successful show, but at the end of the evening you walk out, there'll be one or two people out there maybe want to get an autograph or whatever, but basically you've made connection with 1,000 people, but you just go home.
Yeah.
That's it. Whereas, like, if I go out now and I go to do a job and I'm going around the country talking to people, I'm this character that they really know. They really know me, you know. They'll just say, hello, Larry, like they've known me, you know, forever.
People like people they like, and I think certainly through Mick and Archie, they were two characters that were so relatable. I think people feel they have the right to come up to you, don't they?
Absolutely, they do, and that, to me, I mean, that's the joy of the job.
Are we going to get a Gavin and Stacey movie, do you think? We'd love it.
Well, I mean, it would seem to me the logical thing to do. I mean, that would be the only chance. I can't see him ever being able to get everybody together to do a TV series,
No.
but certainly, you could. I'm sure you could pull it together to do a film, especially, with James's career profile now and Ruth's profile and everybody else's. Everybody else's life has basically been changed by it. I mean, that would be the logical thing to do. And plus, of course, you've got a ready-made audience. Like, I can't think of many people in Britain that wouldn't go along and see it.
Not at all. Did you know he was going to be one of the biggest stars in the world right in the beginning? Because he's always had that zing about him, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, the thing with James is he's been around forever. People seem to think he just appeared from Gavin and Stacey.
Yes.
He'd had a big old career before that, so no surprise.
Incredible talent. Really lovely to talk to you, Larry. We could talk all day. Go and find out more about this travel advice from Boots. Put in boots.com. You can find out all the information there. Thanks to Angela as well. And we wish you all the best. So much to talk about. And thank you for being one of us. You're so relatable and being such a great ambassador for London too. We appreciate it. Thanks, Larry.
All the best to you, Alex.